Mr. and Mrs. William-Ellis contacted USA Homeownership Foundation. They were having a difficult time with their mortgage and were on the verge of foreclosure. They had a sale date within 3 weeks of contacting our agency, and they had been appealing to their servicers, trying to get them some kind of resolution, but were getting nowhere. They were desperate, and they knew they were going to lose their home. They contacted USA Homeownership Foundation for foreclosure prevention counseling, and we were able to review their information. We learned that the client was a veteran. He had served in the U.S. Army and had a stroke and had become ill, was bedridden, and he was also on the mortgage. So his wife had been contacting the servicer and trying to work with them to get a resolution, but was really getting nowhere. They contacted USA Homeownership Foundation, spoke with our HUD certified housing counselor, and we were able to have their file escalated to the executive offices of the servicer. The servicer had noted that they had offered them some home redemption options, but the client said they were never sent anything, and they were also facing foreclosure. This would mean that the client was being dual tracked, meaning they were offering loan modification options as well as going forward with the foreclosure. Our housing counselor was able to recognize this and escalate this situation with the servicer. They also were not willing to work with the wife because her name was not on the mortgage. The loan was a conventional loan, only had the husband's name on it. He had a stroke and was totally bedridden without the ability to speak. So it was up to the wife to work with the servicer and the housing counselor to get this figured out. So she was getting nowhere with her mortgage. The servicer contacted us, and we were able to communicate with the relationship manager and explain to them the situation. We submitted paperwork on behalf of the borrower to allow the wife to speak to the servicer on behalf of her husband. We also helped them compile the required information for a loan modification, and we submitted this to the servicer. We also helped the client obtain a power of attorney to be able to speak on behalf of her husband, submitted all of this information over to the servicer, and we also made a complaint with the CFPB because we did notice that with this person's loan, they were not following regulatory guidelines. Every time the servicer was contacted by the counseling agency, the client would have to call and give verbal authorization, and we were getting a runaround ourselves until we were able to submit all of this documentation to the servicer, submit the complaint, and finally get a resolution with her servicer. We involved the executive office of the servicer, and we asked them to do an internal audit of the supporting documents submitted by the client. And we were able to successfully save this person's home from foreclosure. The client was able to avoid foreclosure, was not charged any fees for our services, and was able to have a successful outcome. All services provided by USA Homeownership Foundation are provided free of cost, and we specialize in assisting veterans, active military, as well as patriots in helping them resolve their mortgage issues.